TV Clubbers, how's it going? I'm your host, Alex McAlevey, and I am joined today by the cast and crew of Small Town Crime.
It's been a dream to work on Small Town Crime for a while, starring Robert Forster and Octavia Spencer and John Hamm.
Yeah, John Hamm, thanks so much for agreeing to be with us
today.
today.
Ever since Mad Men, I've always wanted to do something that was very different.
You know, watching John Hamm every week play this character.
Come on. Dream project.
I can't.
We held that as long as we could, though. I want to compliment you guys on...
That was an awful bit.
So this is the right place. Okay, all right. Because I was profoundly confused.
So, as opposed to Small Town Crime, this is, of course, the movie Small Crimes. Macon, Blair, Evan Katz, Nick Coster-Waldau.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks
Did
for
I pronounce
having
that
us.
right, Coster-Waldau?
It was perfect.
Okay, awesome. So the movie is Small Crimes. It's coming out on Netflix very soon. This is a movie about an ex-cop who goes to jail for a few years and says he wants to go on the straight and narrow when he gets out.
No, he wants to go on the
Is
straight
that
and
the...
narrow.
Sure.
He is on the straight and narrow when he leaves prison.
Yeah. But
For a
then maybe
minute.
it doesn't quite go as he'd hoped. Is that a better way of putting it?
He does his best,
Okay. Yeah.
as we all do.
As we all do, true. So I wanted to ask you guys, as far as putting this project together, this is the first time you two had worked together?
Yeah.
Was it, it's a bit of a tongue-in-cheek question, but I kind of mean it, but was it a shared love of doing awful things to characters' fingers that brought you together creatively?
That was probably part of it. We actually, we met, we wrote most of the script without actually meeting in person. We connected on Twitter talking about a book that we were both mutual fans of, and then he asked me if I wanted to help him with the script that he was working on, and we were living in different cities at that time, and we did the bulk of the work without ever actually meeting in person. He was just a shadowy presence on the other end of the internet.
Yeah, I was a shadowy presence. Well, like, I'd seen Blue Ruin, I loved it, and thought he did a really, really great job. And then my buddy, our shared buddy, JT Petty, who's another writer, was talking about how he's like, oh yeah, you know, Macon, he writes incredibly violent noir screenplays. And found this book. I kind of felt like I needed another voice there to like work on it, because I sometimes, like, when I'm writing something that I'm going to direct, I'm too close to it, so it kind of feels like I need a bit of a bird's eye view, or else like I can kind of get lost in it. And it was nice to have somebody else kind of just be an opposing voice and be like, well, Evan, I don't know if that makes sense, and just, I don't know, it's kind of nice to like talk things out. And you know, it was great to have Macon on board to flesh this thing out, piece it together.
2 minds better than one.
2.5 minds.
Nick, I assume you also just were chatting with them on Twitter. That's how you got involved with the project?
No, we didn't know. I didn't meet them until...
You didn't reply to any of my tweets, is the
I don't read
multiple.
And I'm happy you guys were able to get past that, because... You know.
Yeah, no, we got past that. No, I mean, obviously they tried lots of different actors, and then I got the script and I loved it, and then we Skyped, and that was it. What was embarrassing though was on set we shot a scene, and it wasn't until after the scene that I realized I was also working with the writer, and I felt.
Because I introduced him as like, this is just a guy, don't listen to anything he says.
Yeah, you were being very, very rude.
We're going to get rid of him very soon.
Right.
The delicate balancing act, I think, is maybe a gentle way of putting it, between sort of dark comedy and, you know, thriller.
Yeah.
What for you guys was the toughest sort of part of that balancing act, or what was
I
the
don't
thing
know,
that...
a lot of it's on Nick, you know, it's like, it's like Nick and then the score, because that's kind of where you get the tone, you know. You could have played this really melodramatically and like overwrought. There's like people that read the script and were like, oh yeah, this is so intense and so serious and just depressing. He's such a sad underdog. You know, Nick, like, he jumps in and like he knows that there's like a bit of physical comedy that you can, I don't know, like you flesh that out, and then you play music that I think kind of helps that a little bit. But you have to write it, for the most part, pretty straight. There's some things that are
I mean, the funny thing is, it's a very funny script. Tragedy is usually kind of funny. I mean, we've all had those horrible things happen in our lives, which at the time could be like just excruciating. And then you look back a few years later, you go, that was kind of funny. You know, you remember that Christmas when everyone was fighting and screaming? That's hilarious to think about now.
I don't know, like, we spent a lot of time just joking and talking shit about politics, because it felt like he got the script pretty quick, and like we kind of went through certain things, but there wasn't like this long breakdown. It was just he got it. He got the character, you know, and he got the tone, and I don't know. There's like a Scandinavian dark humor.
No, but it's funny because you're right. It's a difficult. It's a balance. You know, when is it a comedy? When is it tragedy? But the truth is it's both. And I mean, there are some really dark scenes, and usually they're like punctuated by something very funny, or grotesque, extreme.
Were there films or characters, you know, that influenced what you did?
I don't even know if we didn't even really talk about movie references aside from we love, you know, De Palma and Schrader and Charles Willeford books and Jim Thompson. Like, it was just a mixture of all the shit that we like, but we didn't really.
I remember talking about books more than anything. I think that Jim Thompson was a big one with like that grotesque. Stuff being taken to such an extreme that it becomes funny in spite of how ugly it is. So.
Yeah, and I love Thompson like that. You know, we have like a population 1280 reference in like the first 2 minutes of the movie, and I think like his characters are always, you know, kind of sort of ridiculous and human and vulnerable and scary, and I like that mixture of goofy malevolence. You know, so it's like I thought that. You know,
as ridiculous, scary humans yourselves, you could really relate to that.
More scary than ridiculous, to be honest.
This is the weirdest interview ever.
Yeah.
It's great. Guys, thanks so much for being here. The movie is Small Crimes. It's out on Netflix very shortly. Check it out. Thanks a lot.
Thanks very much. It was nice talking to you.
Thank you. Thanks.